Welcome to Hot Flash Chronicles, where midlife is messy, menopause is madness, and we're sweating through it together.
We're Angie and Shelly, two caffeine-fueled, slightly inappropriate grandmas who say what everyone's thinking.
So grab a drink, crank up the AC, and let's dive in. Guess what time it is?
11:32.
That's right, and it's also
time for a new Hot Flash Chronicles podcast episode.
Yeah,
What are we talking about today, Shelly?
I'm going to say the thing that I always say.
This is a really fun topic, and it's near and dear to our hearts. Did I get it?
Bang it on, right on there. Yes, correcto. It's going to be fun.
Correcto.
And it's going to be helpful. I think it's going to be one that people need to hear.
I'll tell you what, we talked about this last week just at like a little friend date we were having, and I was needing it because I was going through a hot minute, and it was super helpful to me. So that's when I said we should talk about this on the pod.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And just to let you guys know what it is, since you're waiting with
bated breath, they're just like on the edge of their seats. And now we have a commercial break.
Yeah. Now, it's a life journey. And what this is about is earning and spending credits. And we're going to explain what that means.
Yeah.
Because there are different stages of your life where you're going through different things and you're capable of maybe achieving some things or doing some things, and they might be really hard.
Mm.
And then there's times later in your life where you kind of need to step off the gas and appreciate where you are and how much work you put into getting there.
Totally.
So I think as 50-plus-year-old women now,
women in our 50s.
Women in our 50s.
I think we're both in our 50s. We can go with that.
We are, and we have done some things and earned some of our credits now. And, well, we have even more to earn, which is good to know. But as we kind of phase into these later parts of our life, it's about understanding that you get some moments to stop and smell the roses.
Right.
And that's sometimes hard to figure out when those are happening.
For sure. And I think one of the big ahas for me last week when we were talking about it is we have different skill sets and different capabilities that are needed by people in our life at different stages in life. So like if you're in your 20s, 30s, like you might be asked to like make some meals or help watch the kids or help somebody move or give them a ride to the airport or things like that. And as we change through these chapters, our abilities change. So I am no longer in the category of people are asking me to help them move.
Yeah.
Right? And
God, I hated that.
Jeff was like, why did I buy a truck? Now everybody wants, but we're happy to help.
Yeah.
But we have different capabilities at different times in our life. So we can get to where we have sadness that we're no longer able as easily or if at all to do the things that were asked of us when we were in our 20s or 30s, like let's go to a yoga class. I'm not that friend.
I don't think I was ever that friend.
That's fair. But so if our family needs us for something, then it's going to change. When we're younger, if we have children, then they're going to need us to give them rides to things and make sure that they are bathed and clothed and fed and all those things. Our kids are now adults that have their own kids, so I no longer have to worry. Has Kyle had dinner today?
I'm so happy that part's over.
Are his pants clean? Thank God I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I don't.
But now I'm in they went to buy a car this last week, and it was like, Mom, can you come to the dealership? Because I was in the car industry for almost 2 decades, and I understand the inner workings of how a car deal works.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's instead of like, Mom, I need a ride to soccer, or can you check my homework? It's, can you come to the dealership with me and make sure that we don't get got?
Yeah.
So that's a different skill set.
Absolutely.
So you were saying, when we were talking about this last week, that in the later chapters, it's our wisdom that is sought out. And that car dealership was a perfect example.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be life experiences that you gather along the way. And those are some of the credits you're earning is every time you have these experiences, they go into your lived life experience bank. And then you now have knowledge of things And then when other people are getting ready to do whatever said thing is, you can access those. And if they ask you for help, you're like, oh yeah, I remember when I did that. And here's what made it a lot easier for me. Let me smooth the path for you with some of this advice. And as you get into what I like to call it the golden years, which is, I'd say nowadays in the modern world, your golden age is probably after 70. Because I think people now...
50 is the new 30.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because I'm 50.
People have to work until they're like 67 or 70 now before they get to retire. Sadly. So I think I consider that golden age is kind of you're done with your work career life and you are retired and hopefully you have your family and friends around you. And this is a time when you get to impart your life stories and tell, of the wisdom that you've gained. So
can you talk about the credit system that you brought up to me? That would be great because I had never heard it put this way and I thought it was really brilliant.
Yeah. Every time you are going through a life experience, whether it be easy, hard, emotionally difficult, emotionally joyful, whatever the experience is, you are earning life credits, especially when it's something you've never experienced before, like maybe having a baby. If you're a woman, that could be something where you're earning some credits. It could be graduating from college. It could be starting a new career from scratch. That's not something everybody does. So it's every time you're adulting a new thing, you are gaining the experience and the wisdom of how you do that thing. It might be something you do over and over in your lifetime. It might be something you only do once. We learn there's different levels of things that you have to basically encounter and conquer, I'd say, in your life. Some things are really simple, like you learn to tie your shoe.
Right.
Or you learn how to bake a cake. There can be things like that. There can also be things like you learn how to navigate a relationship, maybe a romantic relationship from the very beginning to the end.
Right.
Because some relationships end. So you get points and credits in all different, if you looked at it like a bingo card, there's these different areas that you're going to gain credits. You're going to gain credits when you do things successfully, and you're going to gain credits when you bomb them and you fail miserably. That's the thing about the credit system is everything has value.
The other thing that I thought when you said it is like we earn credits with people.
Yeah.
So every time we said yes to bringing that food to a potluck or helping somebody change a tire or helping them move or things like that, we have built up credits. So relationships are very rarely in balance where it's 50-50.
Yeah.
There's usually somebody who's contributing more and then it'll just kind of ebb and flow, hopefully, to where it becomes, one person, it teeter-totters where one person is giving more or taking more, etc. And if you have a good relationship / friendship / whatever, it will ebb and flow. So when we do those things that help the people in our lives, then we are earning credits with them.
Yep.
So a good example, a couple weeks ago, my mom had asked my daughter-in-law, so her granddaughter-in-law, if she could help her with like a house cleaning thing in their place because they weren't physically capable of doing it just for bending and age reasons and stuff. And my daughter-in-law, AJ, was like, oh my God, I've been waiting for something that I could do. And my mom offered to pay her. And AJ was like, you do so much for us. I've been waiting for a way to repay you. So thank you for giving me this gift of letting me help you because, my parents help a lot with their kids. They cook meals. My son's family also cooks a lot of meals, but AJ had been waiting for a way to help repay the things that my parents have done for them. So my mom was, I think, a little uncomfortable with not paying, but it takes away the gift that AJ is giving and doing the help. So that kind of, my mom has built up credits and then AJ was able to pay some back.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And your mom was able to actually, although she didn't know it, but she was spending some credits because, and it's not about
being even. There's
my back,
tally.
scratchers. It's not at all. It's just the reason it's good to recognize this is because as you become older, you start feeling that your value is diminishing because you can't do as many things as you used to, like we're talking about. You can't help people move anymore. You can't maybe do the babysitting, or there's things that you just maybe physically or emotionally can't do anymore.
And you can feel less relevant. Or less like I'm just taking up space. Yeah, the invisibility. We need a whole episode on invisibility.
We do.
Like,
absolutely.
It's a whole thing.
That is a whole thing. But you start feeling like your worth is less. And it's a time in your life where you have to recognize you're probably at your most valuable when you're not able to just do the groundwork.
Yeah.
The work that is more and the experience that is the most valuable is when you can help your family and friends with the life story that you have. And you give that to them as a gift. And it's something, especially with family members,
right?
You're passing along maybe, family heirlooms, like stories of your ancestors, things like when you tell a story about, oh, I did this with my grandma when I was a little girl. Well, that was back now in the 1960s. That was 60 years ago when I did things with my grandma when I was a little girl. That's historical. Some of the things we did don't even exist anymore. So imparting your family members and your friends with things that you've learned from other family members, things that maybe have been passed down in your heritage, that becomes very valuable because we're the storytellers. We're the keepers of the flame.
And the legacy, like you're leaving a legacy of stories. And like you said something about, like, I'm not going to call my dad tomorrow if I get a flat tire. I'm going to call my husband. I'm going to call AAA because I have the money for that kind of thing. But that doesn't take away my dad's value because now his value is in his wisdom. So when we were having lunch the other day, he was telling us a story about when he was a child in Germany. And he was like right after the war. And these are the things that are so incredibly valuable. Those stories that then my son will tell his grandkids, my grandkids will tell their grandkids, like those kind of things get passed on. Like your great-great-grandpa Helmut did this in post-war Germany in Heidelberg. Isn't that cool that you came from that same cloth, right? So the value that he has in spades right now is wisdom. And telling those stories and passing those stories on. So the best gift he can give is not helping us move.
No.
It's telling us how, what was
like
family
came to be.
Or my mom telling recipes that her mom taught her, like things like that. Or what was it like living as a little girl during, women's rights coming into play? Or like she was the first woman to do a lot of things in Washington. So those kind of things need to be told.
Yeah, I think that if you look at even with the modern world that we live in and all the social media we have and everything, in the end, when we come to the end of our time here, what's left of us is what other people remember and talk about. That is really what will be left of you 100 years from now. My future great-great-great-grandchildren will hear something about me because our family has passed that down through storytelling.
Oh, so they'll have Snapchat videos.
They might have me
with
Snapchat with puppy ears I'm going to talk about because that is recorded for historical. But, who knows what the world will be, how they'll pass on information. But storytelling is a pastime, is a lifestyle that many cultures have had for centuries. And sometimes we got to a point in evolution where people were able to write that down when we developed the written language. But the auditory, the telling of stories, sitting around campfires, telling stories, that's been around forever. And it will continue. So when you get older, your time is now to spend your credits and not have to do all of those physical things. That's for other people to do. And it's now time for you to do the most important thing you'll do in your life, which is passing on your family's legacy.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really so much more important than changing the flat tire.
Right. And my dad didn't know this, but I actually got an audio recording of him telling that story because I was like, this is an important story because it was it was rich in the culture of post-war Germany, and he was right in the thick of it. And I was like, we're just going to not let him know, and I'm just going to start a voice memo, because if he knows, then he might like play to the camera. But he still doesn't know that I made an audio recording of him telling that story.
Right.
So it's just incredible to have these stories, and we're creating new stories, and now we're passing them on to the generation that's our grandkids, which are my parents' great grandkids. So it's like this whole ever evolving thing. So what are some traits in people that are 50 plus that you consider incredibly valuable?
I think at this stage, what I notice is my experience with like motherhood and things has come into play a lot, because I have some friends, and of course my daughter's age, I have coworkers and people I've met in my life who are still having kids,
right,
or are maybe at the point now where they have like a 10-year-old or something. So I think a lot of my wisdom right now is in that we've parented through adulthood. So I'm able to make comments about or tell my stories about my kids when they were little, about my kids when they were teenagers. So I think that's one of my strengths. And I also think I've been a working woman. I've been someone, because I'm from the 1980s is when I graduated from high school. But I've had a full career. Like, I started working as soon as I was, 18 years old. I actually even had some jobs before that. So I've been able to talk about how I've evolved in career choices, how I took some risk. We talked about that in one of our episodes recently. Just about what it's been like being a working mom, somebody who's had, marriages while I've been working, who's had a career that's been fully integrated into a very full and busy momming life, being married life, and how I've juggled all that stuff. And I think also on how I've been able to fit in things like my hobbies, like how you time manage, how you make things work,
right,
for being someone who can have it all. And we all know that we really can't have it all, that we have to pick and choose wisely. And so there's been times when I didn't pick and choose wisely.
Right.
And giving that kind of information to other people is super helpful. Like, here's what not to do.
Right.
Don't do this. Wink, wink. Not because I know from my own personal experience, but just don't do it that way. So I think that's very valuable.
Well, and I think it's interesting to celebrate the fact that we can transition into, when I was in my 20s, I didn't have the wisdom that I have now.
Right.
I didn't have the free time that I have now. I didn't have the flexibility that I mean, time-wise, not physically. I was definitely more flexible in my 20s. But we have all of these traits that there's a lot of freedom that comes later in life. And you realize that a lot of things aren't that deep. They're just not as serious as you thought they were. The popularity contest isn't important to me anymore.
Nope.
I would rather have a few really solid friends than 100 people think I'm kind of cool.
Yeah.
The depth of things is different. And I realized this weekend, I was doing my homesteading. I was like baking and canning and doing all this stuff. And I was like, I am such a grandma. And I love it. Like, I'm loving this time where it's a whole different set of skill sets. I wasn't interested in baking sourdough when I was 30. I had kids hanging off.
We didn't have time.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the amount of time you have and the way you spend it is different with each decade. Like,
sure,
as your kids get more independent, sometimes a little free time starts to ease up. When they're not in high school anymore and you're not having to go to all of the events all the time, you start getting more me time. And I feel like I didn't really even get into thinking that hard or that deeply about who I was as a person, probably until I was in my 40s. I don't even think I had time to spend on something like that. I couldn't spend any of my credits on self-awareness or, just self-actualization. Those weren't on the table for me at that time.
Yeah, it's almost like we're given access and permission to celebrate ourselves and take some me time. And what do I want to do? What do I want? Like, I've been doing all of these things to make sure that the home is running. And, you know, my dad always said that he made the living and my mom made the living worthwhile. And I always loved that.
That's a great.
And making that living worthwhile, once you hit a certain age, there's more financial freedom, there's more time freedom to not have to worry so much about if everybody else is taken care of. And it's like, what do I want? What are my dreams? What's my bucket list? And hopefully you have a partner, if you have a partner. Hopefully your partner is accepting of that and encouraging of that. We both have spouses that are wildly supportive of all of our shenanigans.
Yeah.
We just booked a trip. We're going to be going in July for our birthday. We're going to go to Napa in California. And both of our husbands were like, you girls have fun.
Yeah.
Like, have a good time.
Adios. Have fun. Write about it, maybe. Send a postcard or not.
And
they don't care.
A postcard. Yeah. They know that we thrive when we're with each other, and they're happy that we get this time. So there's a freedom in that. And that comes because we earned all of those credits by working hard in early years to have the means to be able to do it now.
I think when you think about your own children and they're growing up and you're the parent and you're thinking things like, I want them to have the best life. I want them to be so happy and to achieve all of their dreams and goals that they set. And we forget that we were those kids at one time and our parents wished all those things for us. And somewhere along the way, especially for women and probably for a lot of men too, when we become parents, all of a sudden, all of our hopes and dreams and all of our goals that we made for ourselves kind of disappear a little bit.
But they're paused.
Or they're on pause because we now have to nurture and grow this little human.
Make sure they stay alive.
So they can go and do all their things. And then I remembered when I was about 42 or 43, I remembered, oh, I was a little girl with hopes and dreams. And I had things I wanted to do and see in this world. And, oh, they've been on pause for 2 decades now. Why can't I still have my hopes and dreams?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting how
you have to be able to pick it up.
Evolve, and then that self-awareness, like, whoa, what about me? I can do stuff. And it's not selfish.
It's not.
It's called self-care, and it's okay. And if you need permission, we're giving it.
Totally, you have permission.
Totally, you have.
We are big on self-care, and self-care is not self-centered.
Right.
It's not narcissistic. It is putting on your oxygen mask and taking a deep breath and then saving the other people. They always tell you you've got to do your own breath first.
Right. Because you won't be around to save the kid if you don't put your mask on.
Yeah.
That's why they say that.
Yeah, you've got to do these things.
I know that I've mentioned our friends Tyson and Bethan.
Oh.
Nope.
Love that.
Retake clips. There won't be clips. We don't do that. We don't cut things. Tyson and Bethany, we were at their house for dinner the other night, Jeff and I. And Tyson and Bethany have 3 children. One is 5, one is 3, and one is 10 months old. There is a lot going on in their home. And I'm going to rat out Bethany real quick. We'd been there for probably 2 hours. Tyson is he's an artisan chef. Like, he'll make the hamburger buns from scratch. Like, he made the mayonnaise from scratch. Like, he is a really good cook. So he's doing all these flurries of things. Bethany's making chocolate chip cookie dough, and we're halfway through dinner, and Bethany just starts cracking up. And I was like, what? She was like, the dining room table, because their dining room table is normally in the center of their dining room, right, as per usual. She had pushed it all like kind of cattywampously up against the kitchen counter. So it was like kind of crookedly, just kind of so that she could sweep under it.
Yeah.
And she hadn't connected the dots that she hadn't put the table back, where she's sitting all scrunched up. And their 3-year-old is like climbing under the counter to get to her dad. And she's like, how come nobody mentioned that the table was titled? And she was like, first of all, this proves that you guys are in the inner bubble, because we didn't clean up for you to come over. That's how you know you're really good friends.
That's right.
And she said, but you guys didn't say anything. And I said, well, I walked in and I saw it. And I was like, the table's placed differently. Bet there's a reason for that. And I didn't think about it again.
Yeah.
So they have so much going on, and it's a very loud household. And
3 kids that age.
Tyson and Bethany kept like, oh my gosh, they're like, oh, it's so loud, I'm so sorry. And I never get bothered by children making noise unless it's from neglect. That's my caveat. If, like Vincent, he's 10 months old, he likes his own voice right now, and he was just screaming. Not screaming sad.
No, it's
just like, what does that sound like if I just scream?
I do the same thing to people.
It's a lot, but I never mind the sounds of children. Whether even if I'm sad or upset.
Then it's like a background loop, and if something pokes out as, something's not going right. But it's like, but he's not annoying.
When you had kids, you were so worried, like you're in a grocery store and we're so worried when we're the ones that are in charge of those children, but nobody else is judging you. I mean, maybe some people are, but I'm not one of those people. So
some people are judging him.
It's just a different era that they're in, and we're close in age. I had my kid early and they had theirs later, and so their oldest, Cadence, when I said something about my grandson, she was like, wait, you're a grandma? And I said, yeah, I have 6 grandkids. And she was like, they call you grandma? Your grandparents? And I said, yeah. And I said later that I was friends with her grandma, and then I said Karen, and she was like, wait, you're friends with my grandma, but you don't call her grandma? It's like, well, she's not my grandma.
Like that. Yeah.
And she was like, you're friends with my grandma? And I said, I am. I've known your grandma
freaking
longer than I've known your mom.
Yeah.
And she said, you and Jeff are married. And I said, we are. And she was like, and I said, did you know that your mama was one of the bridesmaids in my wedding? What? And I said, your grandma played piano? What? Like, her mind was blown.
Totally blowing her mind.
A life existed before 5-year-old Cadence was around. And she was just like multiverse unlocked. Like, what is happening right now? She didn't know that her world's interlocked like that. So it's interesting that we have these different phases in life to where, what did I say? Tyson and Bethan?
Yeah, Tyson and Bethan.
Tyson and Beth are right in the throes of, we have to make sure these humans stay alive.
Yep.
And we're just sitting back enjoying the burgers. We didn't care that the table was all out of alignment. It doesn't matter.
No.
Who cares?
Those things aren't.
The burgers tasted just as good off a crooked table.
Yes.
That's a really great burger.
And you'll learn, like, as you go through its phase, like, that's why you can be that way. You're not judgy about it. As you've been there. You've been in the trenches. You know what it's like when you're momming or parenting that age group.
Kids have meltdowns.
Like Tyson, or what'd you call them? Tyson and Bethan? Tyson and Bethan are earning so many credits right now, going through these parenting years. Yeah. And it's just this whole idea, and it's nothing you keep a tally.
Right.
It's not anything you go iron.
Unless you're an asshole.
Yeah.
My ex-mother-in-law was that way.
Yeah. No.
She literally wrote it down.
It's like this is silently tallying up in your favor your whole life. It's more that as you get older, you very consciously recognize that your value has increased. You're even more valuable when you're 70 years old than you were at 30. Every decade, you become more valuable. And I'm getting ready to go into a new decade.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about this last 10 years that has been my 50s. And I was telling my husband the other night, I'm like, this has been the best 10 years of my life.
Isn't that amazing?
And I'm like, I don't feel like I've peaked yet. And that's where you want to be.
Right.
No matter how old you are, you never want to think, oh, the best is behind me.
No.
I peaked back when I was 35 years old. No, I want to continue to think it's still in front of me. I haven't peaked yet. You know when I can peak? The last day I'm here on earth.
Yeah.
That's the day I want to peak.
Yeah.
I want me to go out in a blaze of glory, peaking like crazy. But I'm going to peak like mad. But until then, I'm not going to peak. I don't want to. I want to constantly see what's ahead in the distance. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the journey. So I haven't peaked yet. I'm looking forward to another 10 years of everything becoming more clear, of me learning even more about myself, of me teaching myself new things. So it's about, I'm going to start spending some of my credit. Yeah. I'm still earning them. They're still
just coming from a different bucket.
They are.
They're coming from wisdom.
Yeah.
Or freedom. Like we have a lot more financial freedom, time freedom, all of those things.
And those things allow you to have life experiences.
Yeah. And now we can help our kids. Like if they need help on something financially too, then we're here. And it's not that deep. To me, it's just money.
Yeah.
Money is just what does Sue say? It's a value metric. It is just a value metric. It is not the end all be all.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's about life experiences. And you can have so many life experiences that don't cost anything, that are valuable, that enrich your life. And the whole idea here is you're never going to be invisible. You will always be viable, and you will always have something to offer. The things you have to offer are just going to change. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's
I love that.
simple.
Full stop.
Full stop.
So we would like to know what you think your superpower is right now that is earning you credits, no matter what era or decade you're in. What is the thing that the people in your life value the most from you right now? And how do you feel about it?
Yeah.
So
We want to know.
yeah, we want to know these things.
Inquiring minds what?
Inquiring minds. So shall we wrap with our rapid fire question?
We shall.
This is becoming a really favorite of mine. And I'll be driving around during the week and I'll start thinking, but then I never remember what they would be. I think like, oh, I should ask that during rapid fire. And then I don't remember.
Oh, wow.
I know.
That's because we have menopause brain. So that makes sense.
Fair.
Do you want to go first?
I would love to go first.
All right.
We always start with a food one, apparently. So red licorice or black?
Red. I'm not a fan of black licorice.
I love black licorice
I like
as well.
black licorice jelly bean.
Do you like Twizzlers or red vines more?
I think I like red vines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't let me get a bucket of those. I will rough.
Sadly, I know way too much about licorice, apparently.
Yeah. Okay. Your turn.
All right. Let's see. If you could pick up a new artistic skill, would you rather it be sculpting or watercolor?
How do you know I'm not good at both of those already? I'm kidding.
Really?
Let's see. My mom is a watercolorer. Is that a word?
Watercolorist?
Yeah, she's an artist that uses watercolor as a medium. So I'm going to leave that to her. So I'm going to say sculpting. Perfect. Okay.
There'll be a bust of Jason Momoa coming out soon, made out of Play-Doh. By Angie.
I definitely wasn't watching Jason Momoa videos before you got here.
You definitely
not. What is your favorite haircut on a man?
Oh, gosh. You know, I kind of like some of the old-timey looking ones, like the fades, where it's really short in the back and they have like the little swoop through the front. So I like shorter haircuts. I don't like long hair on men.
I like short hair.
So, sorry.
I also like short hair.
Yeah.
But long hair is the bad girl in me.
Fair enough. Okay, so one more for you. If you could wear fashion well from any decade, from 1900s to now, what would be the era you would like to wear?
Ooh, I would love to wear like the little floofy poodly skirts where it's like the sweetheart neckline with the little
So that would be late 40s, early 50s.
like pin-up-y kind of like a little floofy skirt.
Yeah.
That'd be cute.
Floofy is an official word.
It is now.
So it is now.
This has been another episode of Hot Flash Chronicles. Thank you so much for joining us. It means the world that you're choosing to listen to us. Go ahead and give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. If you like what you're hearing, it would mean the world to us if you left a 5-star review. With that, we leave you until next time.
Ciao.
Bye.
That's a wrap on this episode. If you laughed, related, or just need more, hit subscribe.
Check out the show notes to find us on socials and YouTube and join our Patreon for exclusive extras.
And remember,
We're still hot,
just in flashes.